Each of these writers featured in this collection carries the distinction of being named a Native Arts and Cultures Foundation National Artist Fellow in Literature. They are recognized for their excellence in their work in literature and their willingness to use their gifts to create offerings of beauty and truth for the benefit of the people.
The work that we do is about really helping artists and culture bearers and creatives to do their work, to share their voices in every arts discipline there is, both locally, regionally, and nationally.
Welcome to Indian Country. Where is Indian Country? It's everywhere we stand, it's anywhere we dance, it's where the earth loves the feel of our feet. Welcome to Indian Country. What does that mean? It means this is where we lift our voice in song and make a joyful drumbeat so our hearts can sing along. Welcome to Indian Country, this beloved country here, where we honor our ancestors by growing stronger every year, by making laughter the answer that wipes away our tears. Hi, Shika.
My name is Isha Shoshani Purai. I'm a enrolled member of the Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs, descended of the Sletz people in Dr. Times of Modoc. And I'm proudly representing here just an indigenous youth walking in the Western world. A couple days ago, us indigenous people were called indigenous creatures. Oh wow. A couple years ago, we were called something else. And so I want to say good afternoon to all you indigenous creatures and all you something elses. And you longbacks, and whatever you identify with, this whole system wasn't meant for us. And so it's uncomfortable to walk into these big fancy buildings because they weren't made for us. They weren't made for me. They weren't made for my siblings, for my family. But yet here we are. And I look good. We have had enough. No more listening to your white fragility. No more listening to your fake and hearted apologies. No more bullshit. We don't want apologies. We don't want you honoring us as team mascots. We don't want you here. There's a time and a place for everything, and here is a time, and now is the place. The homelands to my people have lived here for thousands of years. You are our native land. Welcome, colonizer. Let me welcome you with unopened arms and a hostile presence. Let me hand you a soda and sandwich and 2 words of advice for you, and it is land back. That's all I got for you.
I am coming to you as a Navajo and Ho-Chunk and Standing Rock person. Floodlights line the hill north of camp and reveal the line of militarized police. A plane passes by overhead, and I wonder, is my phone being tapped right at this moment? If white eyes go over all the I miss yous and I love yous, all the please, 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 Brenna, be safe, and the you are in my prayers, as if they could find terrorism if they peel back layer after layer. I heard the laugh of an armed policeman as water rushed past my feet, looking for a weak spot in a makeshift plastic shield held up only by the tiring arms of me and mine. I heard the sharp shrill of the eagle bone whistle pierce the damp and smoke. I heard myself telling my friends about it, about how I was taught it calls the attention of our ancestors in the middle of prayer. Then I heard my Grandma Marie speaking to me in a language I cannot understand, as the water hit the last Navajo skirt she ever made before she passed on.
Heat and ardor, tender interior, smoke and calm weeds. The fire is a furious matter of watching. Familiar warm air rises as the red-tailed hawk, slow and loose, a pinpoint for vision on movement. Land of bliss, the shadow higher.
Sunflowers yellow the field, slow dusk skyline bleed. My mother's small body struggles to kick over the truck ignition. She prostrates against bench seat, pressing down the clutch. Stalled in the road's shoulder, gas gone, we wait to refill. Clear pop bottles, pinwheel out the window. Gray smoke puff from rusted muffler, cloud thrust in rear view. Splintered side mirror, green bells burst from the hill. She punches the cracked dashboard. Fuel truck roars alive. Mono stereo creases the wind. My hand slices horizon gleam. Highway stapled to the prairie. Folks have been in the prairie area, seen those images, especially at the golden hour, right? And all those imaginings that go along with that, and this process. And my mom, we have a little pickup, or they did have it at one time. A current memory that also harkens back to childhood memories. I remember as a child there on the res, same thing happening there. We have these beat up cars, and we have a different relationship with these cars.
I was told to apologize for the color of my skin. That it was my fault if I didn't win in more than 15 years of Black Fridays. I wish it didn't happen like that. I wish I could walk down the street with my friends and not fear about life's short ends. I just want to live in a world where my son can go get better skills and my daughter can come home from a party in peace.
I chose poems for this anthology that came from my time as a fellow. And my time as a fellow was representative of some of the richest time in my literary career. I just published my first book. I was a very kind of happy young mother. And it was also one of the more challenging times in my life. I became very, very ill during my year as a fellow, and I received a lot of warm and compassionate support as I was really kind of fighting to stay alive. And I think a lot about that word fellow, which comes from fellowship, and how it indicates the way that we count on one another, and the ways that there are non-tangible, not just the books and the prizes, of which I would add there are many. If you get a chance to look at this anthology, you can see many of these writers went on to publish incredible award-winning books, but there's this sort of softer and more tender element of fellowship that we take care of each other. And as a lot of writers mentioned, I think as Indigenous people, I want us to be able to grow old and see what happens when we get to do that. So this fellowship did help me grow old. To that end, though, I would like to offer a piece of context that some of these poems do mention medical trauma. I'll begin with the poem Blackfish State. 1. My son points to the ship's name, the Kalihi. Arrow, I say in Chinook. A breeze tweezes a flight of my hair with his. So tonally similar, our locks are inseparable. Murky raspberry brunette in the softly drunken beforehand light. 2. As a child, I dipped into the cove on a dare, dumbstruck. Cold water in my ears, blanket of silt resting on starfish, so thick on the rocks. I balanced myself, 2 fingers on a bright magenta tentacle. Shivering up the beach, I lobbed a dirt clod at a faded church billboard asking me if I had a God-shaped bowl. There was a pod of orcas, visible from the ship, rippling neat and frisky as a row of dominoes toppling in perfect